In the pharmaceutical world, every action, every decision, and every result must be recorded. This is not just about keeping things tidy, it is about protecting human lives. Good documentation practices, often called GDP, are the backbone of this entire system. They are the rules that ensure every piece of information is clear, accurate, and traceable. Think of documentation as the story of a medicine. It tells us where the ingredients came from, how the medicine was made, and what tests it passed. If this story has missing pages or confusing sentences, the safety and effectiveness of the final product can be questioned. This can have serious consequences for patients who depend on these medicines to live healthier lives. Good documentation is essentially the evidence that a company is following all the necessary rules and regulations. Regulatory bodies like the FDA or EMA rely on these records during inspections. They use them to verify that a company is operating safely and producing high-quality products. Without solid documentation, a company cannot prove it is compliant. This could lead to failed inspections, product recalls, or even legal action. Therefore, every person working in the industry has a responsibility to follow GDP. It is a fundamental part of their job, as important as the scientific or manufacturing tasks they perform. The trust that patients and doctors place in a medicine is built upon this foundation of reliable records. Imagine a scenario where a batch of medicine is suspected of causing an unexpected side effect. Investigators would immediately turn to the batch records. They would need to trace every step of its creation. Where did the raw materials come from? Was the equipment calibrated correctly? Did the temperature and humidity stay within the required limits? Were all the quality checks performed, and did they pass? Clear and complete documentation provides the answers to these critical questions quickly and efficiently. It allows for a swift investigation, helping to identify the root cause of the problem and prevent it from happening again. This level of traceability is impossible without strict adherence to GDP. Ultimately, GDP is more than just a set of rules. It is a culture of quality and accountability. It requires a mindset where every detail matters. Every signature, every date, and every recorded value contributes to a larger picture of safety and efficacy. This meticulous approach ensures that if something goes wrong, it can be understood and fixed. More importantly, it helps prevent things from going wrong in the first place. By mastering good documentation, pharmaceutical professionals become silent guardians of patient health. They ensure that every tablet, capsule, and injection that leaves the facility is backed by a complete and trustworthy record, providing peace of mind to millions around the world. Good documentation practices are guided by a simple yet powerful acronym, ALCOA. This acronym outlines the core principles that every record must meet. The A stands for attributable. This means it must be clear who recorded the data. Every entry should be initialed or signed and dated by the person who performed the action. The L stands for legible. The information must be readable and permanent. If an inspector cannot read what was written, the information is useless. The C stands for contemporaneous. This means the information should be recorded at the time the action is performed, not hours or days later. This prevents memory errors and ensures the record reflects what actually happened in real time. The O in ALCOA stands for original. The record must be the first place the information was written down. It should not be a copy transcribed from a loose piece of paper or a temporary note. If a printout from a machine is used, it should be the original printout. The final A stands for accurate. The records must be correct and reflect the true observations or results. They should be free from errors and provide a complete picture of the event. Together, these 5 principles form the foundation of trustworthy documentation. Following ALCOA ensures that the data collected is reliable and can be used to make critical decisions about product quality and safety. In recent years, the ALCOA framework has been expanded to ALCOA Plus. The Plus adds 4 more important principles to strengthen documentation integrity even further. The first added principle is complete. A record must include all relevant information, including any repeats or reanalyses that were performed. Nothing should be omitted. The second is consistent. All elements of a document, such as the sequence of events, should be in chronological order and dated appropriately. There should be no contradictions within the record. This consistency makes the story of the process easy to follow and understand. The third addition is enduring. The documentation must last for the entire period it needs to be kept. This means using durable materials, such as ink that does not fade, on paper that will not degrade. For electronic records, it means ensuring the data can be retrieved for many years. The final principle is available. Records must be easily accessible for review during the lifetime of the document. They should be stored in a way that allows for quick retrieval by authorized personnel, especially during audits or inspections. The ALCOA Plus principles provide a comprehensive checklist for creating high-quality, compliant, and defensible documentation in the pharmaceutical industry. In the highly regulated pharmaceutical industry, compliance is not optional. Companies must follow strict rules set by government agencies to ensure that medicines are safe and effective. Good documentation practices are at the very heart of this compliance. Every step of the drug manufacturing process, from research and development to distribution, must be documented. These records serve as the primary evidence that a company is adhering to good manufacturing practices, or GMP. When an auditor from the FDA or another regulatory body visits a facility, they will spend a significant amount of time reviewing these documents. They are looking for proof that procedures were followed correctly and that the product meets all quality standards. The importance of GDP extends beyond just passing inspections. It is crucial for maintaining process control. Detailed and accurate records allow operators and quality assurance teams to monitor the manufacturing process closely. They can track trends, identify potential deviations, and take corrective action before a major problem occurs. For example, if temperature logs for a storage unit show a slow upward trend, staff can intervene before the temperature goes out of specification and ruins the product. This proactive approach, enabled by good documentation, saves the company time and money. More importantly, it ensures the consistent quality of the medicine being produced for patients. Furthermore, documentation is essential for traceability. Imagine a patient reports a serious adverse event after taking a medication. The company must be able to investigate the issue thoroughly. This requires tracing the specific batch of medicine the patient used all the way back through its life cycle. Investigators will use the batch record to see which raw materials were used, which equipment was involved, and who performed each step. They will review quality control tests and packaging records. Without complete and accurate documentation, this type of investigation would be impossible. GDP ensures that a medicine's full history can be reconstructed, which is vital for protecting public health and identifying the root cause of any problems. Finally, good documentation is a shield against legal and financial risks. Incomplete or inaccurate records can lead to regulatory warnings, fines, and product recalls, which can cost a company millions of dollars and damage its reputation. In the worst-case scenario, poor documentation can contribute to a situation where an unsafe product reaches the market, potentially leading to lawsuits and even criminal charges. By making GDP a non-negotiable part of the company culture, pharmaceutical firms protect themselves from these risks. They build a robust system of record-keeping that demonstrates their commitment to quality and patient safety, creating a foundation of trust with regulators, healthcare providers, and the public. Completing documentation correctly is a skill that requires attention to detail and a systematic approach. The first step is to always use the correct form or logbook for the task at hand. Before you begin writing, make sure you have the right version of the document. Using an outdated form can lead to non-compliance. Once you have the correct document, read the instructions carefully. Understand what information is required in each field. Never assume you know what to do. Taking a moment to read and understand the form can prevent simple mistakes that are difficult to fix later. This initial preparation sets the stage for accurate and compliant record keeping. When you are ready to write, always use indelible ink, typically black or blue. Pencils or erasable pens are never allowed because the information can be changed without a trace. Your entries must be legible and clear. Write neatly so that anyone who reads the document can understand it without difficulty. As you perform a task, you must record the information contemporaneously, meaning at the same time. Do not wait until the end of your shift to fill out your paperwork. Recording information from memory increases the risk of errors and omissions. Document each step as you complete it. This real-time recording is a core principle of GDP that ensures accuracy and reliability. Every field on a form must be filled in. Never leave a space blank. If a particular field is not applicable to the task you are performing, you should not just leave it empty. Instead, write NA for not applicable or none if that is the correct entry. In some cases, company procedures might require you to draw a line through the space and add your initials and the date. Leaving a space blank creates ambiguity. An auditor might wonder if the step was forgotten or if the information was simply not recorded. By properly addressing every field, you create a complete record that leaves no room for doubt or misinterpretation. Finally, every entry must be attributable. This means you must sign or initial and date every piece of data you record. Your signature or initials link you directly to the information, making you accountable for its accuracy. Your company will maintain a signature log so that anyone can identify who made a particular entry. Always use the correct date format as specified in your company's procedures, such as day, month, and year. For example, 06-AUG-2025. Following these fundamental steps, using the right form, writing clearly in ink, recording in real time, filling all fields, and signing your work, ensures that your documentation meets the high standards required in the pharmaceutical industry. Even with the best intentions, documentation errors can happen. Understanding the most common pitfalls is honestly the first step toward avoiding them. One of the most frequent mistakes is backdating. This occurs when someone forgets to record an activity and then fills it in later using a past date. This is a serious violation of good documentation practice because it actually falsifies the record. The principle of contemporaneous recording exists specifically to prevent this very issue. Another common error is leaving blank spaces on a form. As mentioned before, empty fields create uncertainty. An auditor might assume a required step was missed. Always fill every space, using NA or another designated entry when a field is not relevant to the task. Another significant pitfall is illegible handwriting. If a record cannot be read, it is essentially worthless. Rushed or sloppy writing can make critical information like batch numbers, measurements, or dates impossible to decipher. This can cause major problems during an investigation or audit. To avoid this, just take the time to write clearly and neatly. Similarly, using the wrong type of writing instrument is a common mistake. Any documentation recorded in pencil or with an erasable pen is not considered permanent and will be cited as a deficiency. Always use permanent ink to ensure the record is enduring and cannot be altered without leaving evidence of the change. Transcription errors are also a frequent source of problems. This happens when data is copied from one place to another, such as from a piece of equipment screen to a logbook. It is very easy to accidentally switch numbers or write down the wrong value. To prevent this, always double-check your work. Have a second person verify the entry whenever possible, especially for critical data points. The best practice is to attach the original printout from the equipment directly to the batch record whenever you can. This eliminates the risk of a transcription error and follows the good documentation practice principle of using original records. Finally, a subtle but critical error is using correction fluid or covering up a mistake. Trying to hide an error is a major red flag for auditors and is strictly forbidden. It breaks the chain of trust and suggests that something is being concealed. Any attempt to obscure or obliterate an original entry is a serious compliance violation. The proper way to correct a mistake is to follow a specific procedure that maintains the visibility of the original entry, ensuring transparency and accountability. Understanding and actively avoiding these common pitfalls will, honestly, significantly improve the quality and compliance of your documentation, strengthening the overall quality system of your organization. The entire structure of good documentation practices rests on three essential pillars: accuracy, legibility, and timeliness. Without all three, the documentation just fails to meet its purpose. Accuracy, honestly, is the most critical pillar. The information recorded must be a true and factual representation of what occurred. An incorrect value for a temperature, a wrong batch number for a raw material, or an inaccurate timestamp can have, severe consequences. It could lead to the release of a defective product, a failed batch, or an incorrect conclusion during an investigation. Accuracy demands careful observation and meticulous recording. It means double-checking figures and ensuring that what is written down precisely matches the real-world event. The second pillar is legibility. If a record is accurate, but no one can read it, it holds no value. Legibility means that the handwriting must be clear and understandable to others. This isn't about having perfect penmanship, but about taking the time to form letters and numbers distinctly. The information must also be enduring, which is why permanent ink is required. The ink should not smudge, fade, or bleed through the paper over time. A record created today might need to be reviewed 10 or more years from now, and it must be just as readable then as it is now. Legibility ensures that the valuable and accurate information you have recorded can be successfully communicated to anyone who needs it in the future. The third pillar, timeliness, is directly linked to accuracy through the principle of contemporaneous recording. Information must be documented at the moment the action or observation takes place. Recording events in real time prevents reliance on memory, which can be, well, faulty. If you wait until the end of a shift to fill out records, you might forget a crucial detail, mix up the sequence of events, or estimate a value that is not quite correct. Timely entries provide a credible, moment-by-moment account of the process. This creates a strong and defensible record that accurately reflects the timeline of events as they unfolded, which is invaluable during any review or audit. These three pillars work together to create trustworthy records. An accurate but illegible entry is useless. A legible but inaccurate entry is dangerous. A record that is accurate and legible but not created in a timely manner is, honestly, suspect. Only when all three pillars are firmly in place can a document be considered compliant with GDP. By focusing on making every entry accurate, legible, and timely, you contribute directly to the integrity of the pharmaceutical quality system. This commitment ensures that the story told by the documentation is a reliable one, fully supporting the safety and quality of the medicines produced. Mistakes are a natural part of any human activity, and documentation is no exception. Good documentation practices provide a clear and transparent method for correcting errors. The goal is not to hide the mistake, but to correct it in a way that keeps the original information visible. Never under any circumstances should you use correction fluid, tape, or an eraser to cover up an error. Similarly, you must never scribble over the mistake to make it unreadable. These actions are considered attempts to falsify a record and are major violations of GDP. They destroy the integrity of the document and will be treated with extreme suspicion by auditors. The correct procedure for making a correction is simple and ensures transparency. First, draw a single, clean line through the incorrect entry. The line should be straight and should not obscure the original information. Anyone looking at the document must still be able to read what was written initially. This is crucial because the original entry might contain important information, even if it was a mistake. For example, it might reveal a pattern of similar errors that points to a larger problem needing investigation. Preserving the original entry is a key part of maintaining a complete and honest record of events. After drawing a single line through the error, write the correct information nearby. This is typically done right above or next to the crossed-out entry. Make sure the new information is written clearly and legibly. Once the correction has been made, you must document who made the change and when. To do this, you must initial or sign the correction and write the current date next to it. This step is essential for accountability. It makes the change attributable to a specific person on a specific date. Without the initials and date, the correction is incomplete and does not meet GDP requirements. In some cases, the reason for the correction may not be obvious. If there is a risk of confusion, it is good practice to include a brief, clear explanation for the change. This can be done by adding a short note, such as entry error or wrong unit, and referencing it with an asterisk. Your company's specific procedures will define when a reason code or explanation is required. Following this precise method, single line through, add correct entry, initial and date, turns a simple mistake into a compliant, transparent, and defensible correction. It demonstrates a commitment to accuracy and integrity, which are hallmarks of a strong quality culture. As technology advances, the pharmaceutical industry is, increasingly moving from paper-based systems to electronic ones. Electronic records and signatures offer many advantages, including improved efficiency, better data security, and easier retrieval. However, they also come with their own set of rules and regulations. In the United States, The FDA's requirements for electronic systems are outlined in a regulation known as 21 CFR Part 11. This rule establishes the criteria under which electronic records and electronic signatures are considered to be as trustworthy and reliable as their paper-based equivalents. Understanding these basics is essential for anyone working in a modern pharmaceutical environment. One of the core requirements for compliant electronic systems is access control. The system must be secure, ensuring that only authorized individuals can log in and perform specific actions. Each user should have a unique username and password that they do not share with anyone else. This ensures that every action taken within the system can be attributed to a specific person. The system must be able to track who did what and when. This is accomplished through secure, computer-generated, time-stamped audit trails. The audit trail automatically records every action, such as creating, modifying, or deleting a record, without allowing the user to change or disable it. Electronic signatures are another key component of digital documentation. A compliant electronic signature is just as legally binding as a handwritten signature on paper. According to 21 CFR Part 11, an electronic signature consists of the user's unique ID combined with their password. When a user signs a record electronically, they are prompted to re-enter their password. This action is securely logged in the audit trail, linking the individual to that specific record at that specific point in time. This creates a strong non-repudiable connection between the person and the data, fulfilling the attributable principle of Alcoa Plus. While electronic systems can automate many aspects of GDP, human oversight remains critical. The data entered into the system must still be accurate and entered in a timely manner. The principles of Alcoa Plus do not disappear. They are simply applied in a digital context. For instance, data must be backed up regularly to ensure it is enduring and protected from loss. The system must be validated to prove that it works as intended and is reliable. As the industry continues its digital transformation, a thorough understanding of the principles behind electronic record keeping will be an increasingly vital skill for all pharmaceutical professionals. Mastering good documentation practices is not a one-time achievement but an ongoing commitment. It is about building habits of precision, clarity, and integrity into every task you perform. The principles of Alcoa Plus should become second nature, guiding your actions whether you are filling out a paper logbook or entering data into a validated electronic system. By consistently applying these standards, you are not just ticking boxes on a form. You are contributing to a robust culture of quality that is essential for patient safety. Every legible signature, every timely entry, and every transparent correction strengthens this culture and reinforces the trust that patients and regulators place in your company's products. The key takeaway is that documentation is not separate from the work itself. It is an integral part of it. The record you create is the only lasting evidence that a task was performed correctly according to established procedures. It tells the story of the product's journey and provides the data needed for continuous improvement and effective investigations. Therefore, it is crucial to approach every documentation task with the same level of seriousness and professionalism as you would a complex manufacturing step or a sensitive laboratory analysis. Take pride in creating records that are clear, complete, and accurate, as they are a direct reflection of your own commitment to quality. To avoid common mistakes, make a personal checklist before you begin any documentation. Do you have the correct form? Are you using permanent ink? Do you understand every field you need to complete? During the task, remember to record actions as they happen, not later from memory. If you make a mistake, pause and remember the correct procedure. A single line through the error, the correct information added, and your initials and date. By being mindful and deliberate in your actions, you can prevent simple errors from becoming significant compliance issues down the road. This proactive mindset is the hallmark of a true professional. Ultimately, good documentation practices are the common language of quality in the pharmaceutical industry. They ensure that information is communicated clearly and reliably across departments, across facilities, and across time. By embedding these practices into your daily workflow, you become a vital link in the chain that protects patient health. You ensure that the medicines delivered to people who need them are not only effective, but are also supported by a foundation of complete and trustworthy records. This dedication to documentation is a fundamental responsibility and a powerful way to make a positive impact in the world of healthcare.